As I said, my name's James and we are from the Ruby Road Fire Station in the centre of Oxford, and also watch manager Nick Windsor, firefighters Mark Vaughan, and Jack Smithler, Dan Walker, Dan Preston, Paul Rose, Ed Francis Webb, Paul Charlotte and John Mulder. They are going to be your operational crew today. As I said, we are operational, so there is potential at some point during the demonstration we could get called away. So if we do, apologies in advance, we will endeavour to come back and try and finish off the demonstration at some point this afternoon. As I said, we are an operational crew and we do attend a wide range of incidents, including your domestic fires, commercial fires, road traffic collisions, obviously that's why we're here. We also attend water incidents, water rescues. We've got a lot of water within Oxford's city itself. Hazardous materials incidents, animals as well. Basically anything you can think of that someone requires help, requires rescue, we will attend. So as I said, we are here to demonstrate a road traffic collision and how we would assist the driver from the vehicle if they are trapped. So if you can imagine, the car in front of you has had a head-on collision, okay, into quite a solid structure. Luckily, someone's actually witnessed the incident and they've called 999. They've got through to our control room, who have then mobilised us from the fire station. The guys at the station may be potentially training in the gym, doing some technical study, or even having dinner, having lunch. And what they'll do then is they'll hear the bells go down the station, make their way to the fire appliance. We do have a firefighter pole in the station, which we do use, and it's the only one left in the county. The OIC, so the officer in charge, who today, Nick Windsor, obviously the incident commander, he will then go to the fax machine, which we've got on station still, yeah, and we still do use a fax machine, and pick up any paperwork necessary to the incident. And then he'll then brief the crews en route to the incident as to what they'll have. Whether that's the personal protective equipment, any issues that we have, any hazards that may be part of the incident, and basically what he wants to happen when the crews initially arrive. So there's procedures that we follow to deal with an RTC, which is called the 6 steps, but we'll go through those as we carry on through the incident. So on that note, I will pass you over to our crews, and you'll be able to see how they actually deal with the incident and get the casualty out of the vehicle. So guys, over to you. So initially on arrival, the incident commander will be assessing the scene, carrying out an inner and outer survey, having a look to make sure if there's any casualties inside the vehicle, outside the vehicle, any hazards, for example, any fuel spillages, any traffic that's on the road, any hazardous load that may affect us. They will then put some things in place to try and mitigate these hazards and risks. So ultimately, the incident commander is in charge of the safety of all the crews responding to the incident. And what they're going to do is potentially block off any roads, cone off any access to roads that may cause an issue of traffic. They will also retrieve the hose reel and dry powder from the appliance in case the car does decide to catch light. Then we have a way of dealing with it. As you can see at the moment, the firefighters are manually stabilising the vehicle and smashing the rear window to get immediate access to the vehicle to try and figure out what is wrong with the casualty. Normally we would try and open the vehicle, we open the doors, which we would do in the real world, but this is one of the ways that we can do it if none of the doors open, which is highly likely in quite a major incident. So at the moment, we've got Ed in the car, and he is currently assessing the casualty as to their current state, and he will then brief the incident commander as to what the state of the casualty is like and how they need to proceed. So as you can see now, we've got a lot of cones out, which is providing our scene safety. We've also got an IEC pack, which is immediate emergency care, which is basically a trauma pack for us with a massive first aid kit. What the guys are going to do now is stabilise the vehicle. We stabilise to provide a solid working platform for the vehicle to decrease any movement and decrease any further injury to the casualty. So there's three ways of stabilising. Initially, as you saw, manually, where we've got two people pushing the car together. We've also got primary stabilisation, which you can see is happening now, with Lego blocks, as we call them, and step shocks. And that will then give you a really good, solid platform to work from. We've also got secondary stabilisation, which we call Paratex, and that's basically like a big ratchet strap that will ratchet the car to the ground. So what they're doing now is beginning to manage the glass. If you can imagine the sort of forces on metal as we're cutting, as we're crushing, as we're spreading, there could be a lot of twisting of the metal which could potentially cause glass to smash and explode everywhere. So what they're doing now is basically putting really sticky back plastic onto the glass, so when we do smash it to get it out of the way, it doesn't go everywhere and it doesn't cause an issue for us. So as soon as that glass has been managed on the driver's window, they will be attempting to remove the driver's door as soon as possible to try and get someone to get into the casualty and to give him a really good initial assessment and to give him trauma care if necessary to give oxygen. Upon the briefs from the crew inside the vehicle, the incident commander will then come up with two plans, a rapid plan and a full plan. So the rapid plan is if the casualty goes downhill, as I said, rapidly, then they can be ripped out of the vehicle really quickly. The full plan is when the casualty is in a stable state and we like to get them out of the vehicle in line and neutral to prevent any further damage or any further injury to themselves. So initially on this incident, the rapid plan will be straight outside of the driver's door as we're currently doing now. The full plan for this incident will be a complete roof removal and the casualty coming straight out of the rear of the vehicle on a stretcher. So as you can see, at the moment the guys are trying to open the door by opening the shut lines of the door, and they're doing that using the set of dedicated spreaders which we have on the truck. So these are battery powered, as you can see, which means we can get them to work really quickly, and these are only new into the service by about 3 years. Before that we did have hydraulic cutting equipment, but that was attached to a loud generator with hydraulic hoses, and it takes a little bit of time for it to be put together. These are really good bits of kit, and we can get into work, as you can see, really quickly and really efficiently. So while this door is getting removed to get secondary access to the casualty, the other crew will be managing the rest of the glass around the vehicle and also peel and reveal inside the vehicle. And we peel and reveal the interior of the vehicle to locate any SRS, which is supplementary safety restraint systems, which is your airbags, which is your seatbelt pre-tensioners, anything inside which is going to cause us a hazard. Nowadays, as you can imagine, airbags are a massive issue because they are literally everywhere. So we need to be really careful when we are cutting a vehicle to make sure that we don't cut any cylinders or any pyrotechnics, because that could potentially cause another hazard and potentially a projectile as well, which could hurt any of the firefighters or the casualty themselves. So managing glass can be done in several ways. we can either use the Pacex, as you can see now. We can also wind windows down and break the glass into the door itself. And we can potentially leave the glass in situ as well. We will Pacex it, but we can potentially leave it in situ if that glass isn't going to be affected. But for today's demonstration, we will be managing all the glass. As you can see, that door's been removed, and now we're going to get Charlie. He is now going to attend the casualty with the IEC pack, and he's going to give it a full primary survey. He's going to take all his observations, and he's going to make sure that he's okay. And the reason we're doing this is obviously for when the South Central Ambulance arrive, we can give them a really good handover, and it gives them a lot of information as to what's going on. And if it does go downhill rapidly, then we've got someone there, and we will be able to take from the car in a quick fashion.
Look, Karina, look what they're doing. They're taking the door. Yeah, they're having a look instead of playing with the doors.
So everyone on this side, you can see now that the guys are removing the door using the spreaders, and they will be taking the door off completely by spreading the door from the hinge, from the lock down to the hinge. If you can also see, there'll be firefighters around putting white marks on the car, and this is basically telling whoever's going to do the cutting that it's safe to cut in that position. So behind it, it's been peeled, it's been revealed, there'll be no airbags around that point. So whoever is coming to cut the B post, or the A post, or the C post, which is what we call the post leading up to the roof, they will know that that position is safe to cut, and they can just cut straight there with no worries about any sort of gas struts or any pyrotechnics or anything like that going on.
They're letting Duncan out.
Did you see, Sebby? They took the door off.
So he's up there.
Shall I hold you?
So one of the parts of our procedures as well, once we've managed the glass, once we've peeled and revealed any SRS, the safety systems, we then need to create some space. Okay, so the way we do that, we can do it in numerous ways. The easiest way would be to just move the car seat back, if that's possible, remove any seats from inside the vehicle, take the doors off, take the B posts out to create as much space as we can. What we're going to do today, as I said earlier, is remove the roof completely, so we've got as much space as possible to get to the casualty and make our job easier for when we extricate.
That's why I never get to a because I know I never get better.
So apart from doing the basics about moving the car back, taking the roof off, there's other things we can do. We can remove the tailgate, we can do a roof flap if the car is on its side, which means flapping the roof from one side to the other instead of taking it all off. We can also do a complete side removal if necessary, a dashboard lift and a dashboard roll. So if you can imagine if the car is stuck underneath an Arctic or something like that, or stuck underneath a wall and you've got a massive heavy load onto the front of the vehicle, we can then do a dashboard lift or roll, which means we're actually lifting the whole dashboard off the casualty themselves.
These are all their hopes on. They said, oh, all these addresses are the same box, you need to be banned.
So as you can see still, Paul is working with the casualty, giving him some really good trauma care. He's got a casualty veil, as what we call it, over his face currently, and that is when we cut or saw the windscreen. So obviously we need to take the windscreen out as well. There's a lot of glass dust at that point. So then they'll put a casualty veil over the casualty to ensure the safety of themselves. And anyone who does do the cutting of the windscreen, they will be wearing a respirator, because again, that glass dust is really hazardous to us. So over the past few years, obviously with COVID and things like that, we have had a few firefighters who have gone to assist South Central Ambulance with their work, and since they've gone, they've come back, and they've done a lot of training with the guys on station with regards to the trauma care, medical training and first aid training. So over the past few years, the confidence and the skills of the firefighters have really improved because of this joint working with South Central Ambulance. As you can see then, the boot has been released from the catch, and that actually went quite well. There's been a lot of incidents that we've been to where the boot is an absolute nightmare to take up, and it takes a good few minutes. But as this is quite an old vehicle, that boot has come off pretty well. If you can imagine, the brand new vehicles, they're absolutely solid, and it does take a lot of work to try and release doors and tailgates on these vehicles.
It's hard to make a convertible.
So as soon as this boot is removed, it looks like all the marks have been in place to cut the posts. As soon as it's removed, the roof will then be, all 6 posts will be cut. The roof will be removed, and Cliff, our casualty, who's doing a really good job, will be extricated from the vehicle nice and safely.
They cut all the poles. Very few of them will get it.
So there's numerous ways that we can actually cut the posts from the vehicle. We've got dedicated cutters, which will go straight through the B post and the A post. We've also got a reciprocating saw, which you can hear is in operation at the moment, and that will go straight through any of the larger posts that we've got to make life easier for everyone. It's not the quietest bit of kit, it's not the most comfortable bit of kit for the casualty either, but when they do need to come out of the vehicle, it does work really well. Throughout the whole incident, as soon as any bit of car has been removed, so for example the doors, the boot, any seats, stabilisation will be checked. If you can imagine, there's a lot of weight coming off the vehicle, which may make it a little bit more unstable than it was before. So that will be continually being checked throughout the incident to make sure that we've still got a stable working platform for ourselves, the casualty, or any other responders that are attending the incident. As you can see now, the windscreen has been cut. The majority of the posts have been cut as well. The last post that will actually get cut will be the one by the casualty. So in this case, it will be the offside B post, as it's right next to the casualty's head. If you can imagine being someone stuck in a vehicle and you see a really large set of cutters coming towards your face, you really want that roof gone after that. So when we are cutting through the post, we need to make sure that the whole tool has gone through. We don't want to lift the vehicle up and then it's attached by an inch or two of metal, which is what the incident commander is doubly checking now. So it looks as if now the last post is about to be cut. The roof will then be removed.
Fucking just had a massive crash, you know, that goes really
As you can see, the roof has been removed successfully, and the crew have now got full access to the vehicle. The amount of space that is there now for people to work, it makes the casualties situation a lot easier, and people can get to the casualty a lot easier. What they're doing now is actually testing the passenger seat as to how it moves, so that then we can remove, when we lower the driver's passenger seat, we know exactly how it moves, how quickly it goes down. Obviously we don't want any jolting to cause any further injury. The guys are now putting shaft protection, is what we call it, which goes over any posts or any sharp bits of metal. Obviously they will absolutely rip people's arms to shreds. So what we're going to do now, the guys are going to assess the casualty again and decide how to remove him. We're going to put a stretcher down the back of the casualty, in between himself and the seat. We'll then be holding the casualty in place. The seat will then get lowered down. The casualty will then get lowered down onto the stretcher, get lifted up slowly, and then removed out of the car effectively under control, in line and neutral, to keep his head nice and steady to prevent any further injury. So at this point, throughout the whole incident, there would have been someone holding on to the casualty's head, as I said before numerous times, to prevent any further injury if they're complaining of any C-spine or back injuries. Whoever is holding the head at this point will be in charge of the next part of the incident. They will tell people when they want to move, how they want to move, how far they want to move up the stretcher, as they're the ones who are holding the head and they know exactly what they want to achieve. So the guys are just making the plan now. So the seat has gone straight back. The weight of the casualty is now on the stretcher. The stretcher is now being lowered back to an angle that they can work with. As I said, the person on the head will be controlling this whole next part of the incident. We've got a piece of equipment called fast evacuation straps, which we can wrap